This is Twit.
Well, it is because of the ubiquity of what it represents. Researchers found malware hiding in a module in a code repository that's called PyPI. PyPI is short for the Python Package Index. Now, this is the code repository that is closely associated with the Python global community. They found this code. It inserts a backdoor into anything where it's inserted. The real problem is twofold. Not so much that they found it, and the folks at PyPI did take it down once they were notified. It's that this was part of something that had been discovered a few months ago, and yet it was still there. The second one is the absolute ubiquity of these code repositories in modern software development. Anytime you talk to a developer who's working in an agile environment or in DevOps, they're talking about reusability of code. I mean, modularity and reusability of code are just cornerstones of these disciplines. And the speed with which businesses assume that code will be updated mean that these are basically the only current coding disciplines that can be used. If you're going to be pushing out 100 updates a week, you're absolutely positively not going to be doing it using a classic waterfall. So we have these code repositories, and the researchers, which are at a company called Reversing Labs, say that one of the issues that they see is what people in the industry call the dependencies. That is modules stacked on top of modules, stacked on top of modules, stacked on top of modules. If you're downloading a library or a major code module to use in your application, there may be 20 layers of code in modules, format, functions, and libraries underneath that. Now, you can look and see whether you trust the developer who uploaded the module or the library that you're downloading, but do you have a relationship of trust with everyone that they used? And is your trust relationship with the one you downloaded good enough for you to trust all those layers below? Now, we're not going to see an end to these code dependencies and the downloading, and the downloading of these modular code pieces, because, as I said, the current business model requires them. So what's a company to do? Do we up the verification that's done? We know that there are tools and practices that would allow a security team to go through and check every dependency before they authorize the use of code. Do the various repositories need to up their game and have practices that are more like some of the larger open source projects, where before code can be submitted to the repository for downloading, it has to go through a verification process? I'm not sure which is better, but we have to view this as a supply chain attack. And that's really the core of this. We've seen both in hardware and in software a growing trend of attackers using the supply chain as an attack vector, whether they're getting in and doing things to servers or endpoint computers before they're delivered to the customer, or inserting code into software that's being used. That supply chain is becoming more critical. And as much as companies like to say that they do their own thing, no company is a true island in today's economy. So Brian, I know that you work with a lot of different projects out there at the University of Hawaii, whether it's scientific or with the administration. How prevalent do you see developers using these code repositories being in the development that's going on?
Oh, that's why I call this a very frightening story. Because the reality is even in some of the computer science programs that I've been seeing, they're not getting down into the real nitty-gritty of the systems anymore. Everybody's using repositories. They're even teaching that at the 100 level. The last company I knew that actually worked very, very hard to maintain 100% control of their code base was Novell. I actually know the 4 guys in Superset. I've had conversations with them and their family and friends and so forth, and it's stunning at how clean and well documented and well executed their code was. The sad part is that level of development skills. This is why I kind of wish, Lou didn't get shanghaied today. He would be a great person to talk to, because the reality is code repositories are an absolute way of life. Nobody wants to write low-level stuff anymore. So even on the Raspberry Pi, you're going to find 3, 4, 5 levels in Python or in C or whatever you want. Heck, even if you use something as simplistic as, say, Code Red. Code Red's actually a really cool system, but if you start looking at it, that's a lot of Java under there and a lot of Java repositories. So we're not going to be able to get away with it. One of the things that I started to see in some of the bigger projects is they're hashing these repositories in some cases now. So that if you go and try and pull in a repository and it doesn't match the hash anymore, you at least have a red flag saying, hey, this is either the module's been changed on purpose, or maybe there's some malicious code in there. So maybe, just maybe, we might want to start thinking about hashing these even on the smaller projects. So at least we have a go, no go on whether or not it's been changed. So from a developer standpoint, there's a few things we need to do, a few more hoops we got to jump through. We're not all going to be able to do what Novell did, or for that matter, Splunk. Splunk actually goes and vets 100% of their modules so that there are no dependency issues when you install it. So I give them big kudos for that one. So Curt, back to you.
Yeah, I think kudos to the companies that are doing it right. They're providing models for everyone else to use. I think it's an unhappy fact that we have things like the division between DevOps and DevSecOps, because security really should be a part of everything that the corporate software developers are doing. We just need to see more tools, more processes, and more acceptance of both of those for making this whole modular coding operation something that is not only fast, but safe and reliable.